Marketing Network. I am so excited to do this discussion today because the topic of it is trending now. Why? Because we all want to know what is trending, what is the new thing, what is the next thing, what is the thing that I can get involved in, create, make the most out of. Maybe my business can grow the best. And I want to talk to you about past trends. I want to talk about what's on trend right now, and then also couple case studies on where I've done a good job with trends and also areas where I miss trends and how you can find out what trends are coming. I think it's a great opportunity for everyone to get excited about that. Let's start with the past trends. Do you all remember things like Beanie Babies? How about Cabbage Patch Dolls, where your mama threw a punch in order to get you a Cabbage Patch doll? Maybe you're a gamer and the PS systems came out. I mean, I worked in electronics and PS4s when they came out. People were tracking the shipments from Asia to the United States, to the train, to the truck, to the back door. They knew where stuff was, and we only had like 5. It was crazy times. We look at jellies, the shoes, or Barbie anything, and Barbie anything past and present. We had all this that are happening. I mean, it has been amazing. How about the iPhone? First time we saw an iPhone, the lines, and people were paying $3,000 for them. It was nuts. So, I mean, look at the different trends that are coming up. So now let's look at what is trending right now and kind of ways that you can work into it, because I think this is very valuable to you and your business. The first thing that I want you to think about and what I want you to really look at is experiences. This is travel experiences. This is food experiences. This is local movements. It's entertainment. And it's kind of the experiential nature of the way that we like to get together and spend time together. And so I think this has changed significantly since the pandemic, but it's not going back. It's not changing. So let's talk about the local movement a little bit. When you have an entertainment venue, whether it is a farm, a store, a live music event, maybe you're planning for an event, what kind of experience are they going to get out of it? What is it that they can do? Are they going to be able to, take pictures and put it on social media? Are they going to be able to film it? Are you going to have a press packet? What's going to go with it? When it comes to food, we've changed a lot, and we're going to change a whole lot more. Why? Because there's people coming in that are changing the way that we think of food. Our local food systems are very much broken. So we're looking at what are our national food systems. Our local food systems are actually something we can work on. And so we're looking at things like farmers markets. What about regenerative agriculture? Have you thought about regenerative agriculture and what can be done? And the idea that, where your food is grown, who grows your food, who produces your food is a great opportunity for you to get to know your farmers, but also where are you investing your money? Can you invest your money in a local food producer? Or maybe you're looking at the idea of soil health and the idea that, we need to all grow dirt. So that may be an interesting thing. What about a soil producer or a plant person? Maybe you have a local farmer, craft maker, baker, artist, person that you want to work with. That idea of the way that they create their food, where their grains are coming from, what kind of grains, where their meat is coming from, what kind of meat, how has it been handled and produced and taken care of. I think that is a huge part of what can happen. So the local food movement, we also have a unique, interesting situation, and that is that people are not going out to eat as much as they used to. They're staying home. So when we look at restaurants, your restaurant has to not only be experiential, has to be really interesting, but it also needs to make sure that it caters to the people that are there. So you need to know who those people are. You need to find the trends in your area, because I live in Oklahoma. So Oklahoma has a unique food culture that might be here, might not be the same as, I don't know, northern Minnesota, or might not be the same as New York, or might not be the same as Florida. But ultimately, we have to figure out what those trends are and what people are doing and how you can integrate that. Again, local food is a big deal. Seasonal eating, where you eat based on what is provided to you, is a big deal right now. At-home eating, one of the trends that I absolutely missed, that I did not see at all, was the idea of groceries being delivered to your house. I never thought that was going to be a deal. I thought, you know what? Partly because I love going to the grocery store and I like to shop, so like grocery shopping. But for those that don't, this is fantastic. The fact that we have people that drop the groceries off at your house, take care of it for you so you don't have to do it, is neat. I also think that you going to the store, sitting in your car, and then bringing it out to you, also something I never had thought of. So the people that did that were very forward thinking. They were really looking at things, and it was amazing. Obviously, we have a lot of changes coming up right now. When you look at things like entertainment spaces, do you all remember Blockbuster? Blockbuster charged you $4 for a movie. You would keep it for a week. And they thought they were the best and brightest and everything was the greatest because you got to sit at home on your VHS and your VCR and watch those movies. And they thought we are all good until this little upstart vending machine popped up. And they're like, no one, I repeat, no one will buy a movie from a vending machine. Enter Redbox. Redbox came in and it was like, wait a minute, I could get a movie for $1. I thought that was fantastic. I could get 5 movies for $5. Great. Redbox is like, we got this. They were so excited about life and they thought, we have it made in the shade. This is the best. We're making money. We're in all these venues. We're going to put them in every store and around every store. And then guess what? Digital happened, and digital took out Redbox to the point that I don't have any Redboxes anymore. They're gone because I can watch whatever movie I want on my TV that is now 60 inches or bigger. And ultimately, I don't need to go out and rent a movie because the movie's coming to me. It's coming into my house. Then I thought, you know what, theaters, they're good. Why? Because it's always a great experience to go to the theater. You smell popcorn, get to hang out, great date night. Pandemic shuts down theaters. People come home and they're like, wait a minute. I get to stay in my pajamas, eat whatever I want, pause it if I want to. I can go and do it, or I can go do a movie or not. I get to pick the genre. I am very comfortable. And so what happens? That changes the movie business to a point where the movie business doesn't look the same anymore. The movie business has changed, and the way that we do entertainment has changed. I mean, even look at the studios that make the movies. They've changed. We have Netflix is a movie producer. Netflix is an investor in movies. Amazon, a book retailer, which is what it was when it first started, a book retailer is now in the movie business and big bucks movie business and sending spaceships. I mean, talk about trends that are a little different. That I was not seeing. And so that was amazing. So the entertainment space has changed significantly. Don't forget farmers markets and pricing. The idea of eggs being very expensive, so then people getting chickens. Well, then what happens? We're all raising chickens. Well, then that wasn't a trend that I saw either. Now people are raising chickens so that they can get eggs that are less expensive than the $8 they're paying in the store, and yet they're again building relationships with the farmers. Goes back to that food movement. In business, things have changed. You used to go to the office 5 days a week. That was a requirement for you to go to the office 5 days a week. Again, the pandemic changed that. Why? Because people got to work from home. Once they work from home, they're like, wait a minute. I don't have to go into the office. I can get all my stuff done. I'm done. I'm finished with what I'm doing. And then I get to be with my family and my kids and all of that. A lot of people, when that happened, looked around and said, I like this better than going in the office. So then pandemic ends, people aren't supposed to go back to work. And then what happens? Do they go back to work? They don't, or they don't want to. And we have generations that have said, if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go back to work. I'm not going to go back to the office because I don't believe that's in my best interest. I don't believe that is the kind of life I want. That is not my work-life balance that I want anymore. So I'm not going back to the office. I'm going to stay home. And so CEOs are trying to push people back to the office because they have a bunch of real estate sitting there that's empty, a bunch of office buildings that are empty, and like, what do we do with it? Well, you find a new use for your building because it's not working. But ultimately, if you are not able to go back to work, then we have to find something else to do with these buildings. And that is an important part of it as well. But business is still relationships. So we have to work on how do you build a relationship in an environment that is online, that in an environment that is very different, that isn't the traditional model of business. Community is hugely important, and your values. Companies are figuring out that they have to have a value statement. They used to just be able to be like, my value is to make money. My value is to make a profit, not have a loss, and create the right value for my shareholders. That is my value. So that's fantastic. But online business has become a major, major thing. You have direct to consumer, which is also very different. Now, some of that, great. Some of that is ridiculous, but it works. I said, so that happens. We have consumer to consumer. We have bartering and trading that is going on out there. We have all these different things that are happening. So the business model that we used to have, top down, go to the office, you go to the office, you come home, life is there. No, no, no. That has changed a lot because of our connectedness, because of the idea of the internet, and because of texting and video and all of that. You are now available to everyone. It is available to everyone to make that happen. So you have to be careful that your business is now making statements, is supporting people, taking care of your employees. Because if you're not, your business, they'll go somewhere else because they can, and there's other opportunities. Let me give you a couple examples, a couple of cases. Here is a case study of something that I created, I developed, I shared it with someone else, and they stole it. So let me give you the background. About 25 years ago, I was looking around Oklahoma City, and I did not understand this, but it happened. We had mentorship programs and internship programs. We had economic development and business programs, and then we had just like regular business programs, but none of them were connected. So ultimately, you'd have college programs, you'd have Chamber of Commerce programs, you'd have businesses that needed employees and leaders and stuff like that. Businesses were losing their leadership because they were aging out, and you had employees that were leaving and they didn't know what to do. You had a chamber that was like working on business solutions and stuff like that. You had colleges that were looking at mentorship programs, career services, things of that nature. I sat down and put on a piece of paper and I said, you know what would be great? Let's take those three things and triangulate them and create a triangle. Why? Because you could have a wonderful thing happen. Businesses could partner with the Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce could also partner with the colleges. Colleges and universities could bring students to those businesses, have them do internships while they're in their degree programs. And then after they're done with those degree programs, they could then offer them a job. It would create a perfect pipeline, work on developing your leaders, getting the kids with the experience question and ready to go. And I thought, this is fantastic. I wrote it all out. I designed it. I had specifics down there. And I had 2 chamber members reach out and say, I would like to sit down and visit with you about that. And I thought, great. I was so excited, very young. I was probably in my 20s. And so at that point, I was like, great. These people are just interested in what I'm saying and what I wanted, and I wanted to share it. And I laid it all out and showed them. And they said, can we take that? And I was very naive. And I said, sure, go ahead. Go ahead, take this and look at it. And they took it and looked at it. And you know what? They took it and looked at it and created it themselves. And it became Greater Grads, which is amazing. It's an amazing program. And I love the fact that Greater Grads happens for the Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce. I said, but when that first started was a conversation between me and 2 other people in the Chamber of Commerce. And ultimately, they enhanced it and they changed it and they put the resources behind it. But ultimately, it started with that conversation. I learned from that. In that I knew a trend was coming. I knew that it was going to work. But ultimately, I handed it off to somebody else. So any trend that I'm giving you now, I'm giving you freely because I'm choosing to. So that is important to me to give that to you as a gift, to say you can take this and do what you want with it. Because if I wanted to keep it close to the vest, I would, and then I would share it with the people who are in my inner circle. So there's people like that. So that was just one thing I wanted you to be aware of. The second thing is something I'm dealing with right now, and that is the idea of city growth and the idea of projecting what is coming. I think a lot of times we get really narrowly focused on growth projections and what we think, what we want versus what is truly going to happen. And so I think those are 2 different things, meaning that we may want the past, we may want our city to stay the same, we may want it to remember how it was back in the day. Back in the day, maybe it wasn't great for everybody, but remember those things. And ultimately, we want to keep it that way. So I'm watching a train kind of come towards Norman. Again, I live in Norman, Oklahoma. It is the third largest city in the state of Oklahoma. We have been steadily growing. We are the second fastest growing city in Oklahoma right now, third largest city in Oklahoma, and we are looking at what is coming next. Since 2000, we have grown 33%. Our city's grown 33% since 2000. That's in 24 years. We are in a very fast growing way of being. There are people in our city that don't necessarily want that to be the case, or they are trying to limit the amount of growth because they feel like it's going too fast. Yet that is not what I'm seeing. That's not the trend I'm seeing. Let me explain to you why that's different and what I'm seeing. So in my city, one of the things that's unique is the idea that we have, of course, the University of Oklahoma. University of Oklahoma just changed and went to the SEC. The SEC is a growth conference. So ultimately, we have more students coming, about 10% every year. So we're growing in students. The second thing I see coming is we have a regional transit system that is going to be built. Ultimately, we have to vote on it next fall, but Oklahoma City, we all vote on it together. Oklahoma City could vote on it themselves, and we all will do it. It is a regional transit system that will connect Norman, Oklahoma City, and Edmond. Those three cities are the three largest cities in the metro area, and other cities will add in as soon as they do that with an airport and other things. The movement of people back and forth will also allow them to live in Norman and commute back and forth to work. So we will have that opportunity. Not to mention on the train front, we are looking at an expansion of the Heartland Flyer to Newton, Kansas. If that occurs and it goes all the way north and south, we have a train depot downtown of our city, so that will grow. We have a turnpike that's coming, and it is coming in the next probably 3 to 5 years, and it will be built. And so we do have a turnpike that will be coming through our city. Now, uniquely, we will not have as many stops on that turnpike in our city because we have voiced our displeasure with the turnpike coming and the idea that we are displacing some of our population, which is very difficult. But ultimately, that turnpike will be here. When it does, that will bring a lot more people in our area, and again, create more cars, more opportunities in that way. And then we just have generally the fact that we are an amazing city. There's usually a food city, maybe a music city, or maybe you're an art city. For us, we are all three. We are all three of those things. So we are a food city, music city, and an art city. So when you come and visit our city and hang out here, you will love it. So the only thing slowing down our growth right now is the fact that we don't have enough housing. That's it. It's expensive, yeah, because we are a highly desirable city. It's going to get more expensive. Why? Because we are going to have more people that want to move here. I have said, and I will say, for all you Texans, when it gets too expensive, we're ready to welcome you home. Why? Because guess what? You're going to move north. I said because we're very similar to you. Only difference is we're a little bit nicer and we're further north. We got more diverse terrain in our state than you do, and so it's ultimately more interesting to be here. So you have that. There's just so much happening. But then how do you or how do I find those trends? And that's a great question. That's a question that I think everybody wants to know. You told me all this stuff, but how can I do it myself? Well, let me help you. There's a couple different ways things I want you to think about. One, do your research. That is, yes, watch the news. Yes, read articles. Yes, ask people and say, what do you think about this? What do you think about this area? What about that area? Ask people that are relatively young. I know that sounds so silly because we're like, why do we ask young people? Well, because they're the ones that are going to have money later on. They're the ones that are going to be the ones that shift things. And so we've seen with millennials, we've seen with Gen Z, we're seeing with Alpha. Alpha's young, they're the young kids right now, but they have changed the way that we do things. They've changed the way that we do housing, the way that we are looking at our vehicles, whether we have vehicles or not, how we live, where we live. I mean, they're moving back out to rural areas. They're moving to smaller towns sometimes. So then our cities are changing. The expectation of public transit, the expectation of like being more environmentally friendly is also a thing that we're looking at as they're aging up and they are bringing those expectations with their dollars because the money is also important too. And so you can do it that way. You can ask young people what they're looking at, and some of it you look at it and use your due diligence on your mind. If you look at that and say that sounds crazy, it just might be. It might not be something that is coming. But at the same time, artificial intelligence. We all have seen movies of that when we were younger. We had AI stuff that's popping up, and we thought, that's crazy. No one's going to do that. No one's going to have that happen. Y'all, we are on the precipice of it really, really happening. And I said, it's already starting to happen. We're going to have AI agents. Do you know what an AI agent is? An AI agent is somebody that can be an employee. They can be the one that calls you. And when you call them and say, I have a doctor's appointment, you're not going to get, please press 1, please press 2. They're going to sit and have a conversation with you like you're talking to a person. And they're going to take care of it and be like, thank you so much, Mr. Jensen. I appreciate it. And you're going to be done. And you're going to be like, wait a minute. That wasn't even a human being. That was an AI agent. And think about the ramifications of that. Think about the things you won't have to do because AI will do it. But also, what happens to the people that don't longer have a job because AI has replaced them? What happens to them? Where do they go? What is the next thing? The internet was scary at the time when it was developed. Because we're like, wait a minute, I can look up anything. I remember being the first class of internet in college. And all we did was have a search engine. It wasn't Google at the time. I looked up things and I was like, why do I need this thing? What do I want to look up? I didn't even know. I put it in dogs. All of a sudden, breeds and breeds of dogs everywhere. And I'm like, what is this mess? My mind was blown. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to use this thing. When it comes to phones, I am a late adopter. Why? Because I had an old flip phone until I was, 28? I was almost 30 years old. And then I got my first, phone. There was a smartphone. I thought, no, I don't need that. I just need to call people. That's it. I would call people and they'd be like, we'll just text you. I'm like, don't have texting. They thought I was an old dinosaur and I was, hopping in my car and running my way over there like I was a Flintstone. But no, ultimately, I got around to it. Now I cannot imagine life without my phone. I can't imagine having it, not having it, being able to look things up and create things and all the things that go with it. So it is a fascinating thing. And so I'm just shocked by all this changes and the changes that are going on and the trends that are going on. And I always am watching. I'm always listening. I'm always putting my ear to the ground and see what's coming next. I'll give you a trend that is out there that I don't understand, and maybe you don't understand. If you don't, please. If you do, or just give me a thumbs up if you agree. Do you understand Crocs? Crocs make no sense to me. I don't understand a Croc. Why? Because a plastic shoe is very weird. It looks odd. They're not cute. I said, but people love them. So if you love a Croc, put a thumbs up. If you hate a Croc, put a thumbs down. Comment, do you like Crocs? I mean, seriously, maybe it's a thing and I'm just not being cool. Tumblers, another one. Got tumblers everywhere. Everybody got a tumbler. You got all these different things. And so I'm like, it is like we grab onto stuff real quick. So here's what I want. Hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully it helps guide you on your view of what trends there were, what trends there are, how to find trends. And I gave you some trends to look at for you to kind of look at where you want to be and what you want to do. Don't forget that right now I am releasing my potential workshop that I did yesterday and the day before. I'm doing it in 1 minute increments. So if you haven't started, I'm on part 11. The first part is all about the blocks that stop you from your potential. And now I'm getting to the point of the things that can help you reach your potential. And I will do that one. This will be broken up tomorrow into 1 minute increments. I will have the full video posted probably in about 30 minutes so that you'll have it available to you. You can save it, download it, share it. I am perfectly comfortable with that. I would love for you to subscribe and be a part of my network. Why? Because I'm going to work on programming and all the fun things I have coming up for 2025. It is going to be an amazing year. So anybody that is involved in that and subscribes, we have incredible things coming. My business channel, Life and Business, you can go into individual things that you need, go look at the catalog, look at the titles, and maybe you can do things on time management. I've got in there, risk, how to be risky and be responsibly risky. I've got all kinds of fun business things in there, how to build relationships, how to do business relationships, prioritizing, how you can do life priorities and your own priorities. That network, that Life and Business network, has a lot of information in it. And you can just watch that channel by itself and learn so much. And I'm constantly adding content, like a lot of content. But it's in 1 minute increments sometimes it's a little bit longer. So you can usually get through it pretty quickly if you want it to be a bite-sized thing that you like. If you like something, please like it and share it. Give it to someone else that needs it. Again, I'm putting this all out there as a chance for you to share it with somebody else. And I thank you so much for watching. Again, this has been Future Growth and Vision Network, and this has been Trending Now.